Welcome back to my channel, Leave It Better. I know it has been a minute. Please forgive me. Full disclosure, after I posted my last video, I was really fighting a lot of discouragement. But I'm happy to report I'm feeling a lot better now, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to bring this week's video to you. I wanted to talk in this video just a little bit about what it's like to be a mom when you don't have your mom around anymore. And I know that I'm sure there's many people out there that watch this that can relate, whether that your mom is not in your life because of death or because of a completely different situation. You're missing that. You have a void because of that. And I want to talk to you about it. I want to be an encouragement. My channel, I call it Leave It Better. It's always all about how we can leave our situation better, how we can become the best version of ourselves that God wants us to be. Long before I was born, God knew this would be my story. He knew this is what I would walk through. I don't understand it all. He does. The beautiful thing about God is the Bible says He sees our end from the beginning. So He knew everything that would have to transpire to get to where I need to end up. And I trust Him. It's painful. I hate it sometimes. Sometimes it makes me angry and I question a lot. But I trust Him, and I trust that this is a part of my life for a reason. So I'm choosing to do it for a better thing. I'm not going to let it ruin my life. I'm not going to let it make me a horrible, angry person. I want to be the best version of who God has me to be. Today, I thought it would be best if I shared first the story of me becoming a mom. If you don't know, I have two beautiful girls, and I wanted to share about my daughter, my oldest daughter. When I found out I was pregnant with her, I was not trying to be a mama yet. We were not planning to have any kids just yet. We'd been married for I guess 3 years. And y'all are gonna, as you're watching this, you're gonna be like, Amanda, how did you not know? All the signs were there. No, I was in denial, full-blown denial. So I just remember one day I was at work and I was just not feeling good. And I was like, it's been a couple days where I just don't feel good. And I was chatting with one of my coworkers and I told her, I said, I really just don't feel good these past couple days. It's weird. It's like if I eat, I feel nauseous. If I don't eat, I feel nauseous. But I won't throw up, but I just feel weird. And she said, maybe you're pregnant. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not pregnant. No, there's no way. We were not planning to be pregnant. So I'm not pregnant, obviously. Duh. So went by for 2 weeks feeling that way. And I was like, when did I have my last period? And I was like, oh, I am late. I am very late. That tells you how much I was really keeping up with my life. And I remember feeling terrified because I was not ready to become a mom. I thought my husband wasn't ready for us to have kids yet. I was like, he's gonna kill me. Not really, but I was like, he's gonna be so upset. Later, I was so mad at myself for ever feeling that way. But anyways, I just did. And so my husband and I worked together at the time. So I remember it was during our lunch break one day, and I went and I sat in his office and I sobbed. And I said, I think I'm pregnant. And he looked at me and he said, if it's God's timing for you to be pregnant, then it's His time. Then let's do this, right? And I just felt so much peace wash over me, and then guilt for ever thinking that he wouldn't be excited or ready or any other emotion than what he was. So that evening we went to the drugstore. I had never bought a pregnancy test in my life. And just to tell you my personality, I made sure the lady knew that we were happily married when we were purchasing this pregnancy test. That's terrible, but I was just like, here's the pregnancy test. And so I went home that night, and my husband had to go to worship team practice, and I was like, do you want to like take it together? And he was like, no, you have to surprise me. Like, I want to be surprised if you are. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm already surprised. So here we are. So he goes to worship team practice. I do the whole 9 yards. And y'all, it was so funny. I actually went outside with the pregnancy test and my cup of pee, and I dipped it out there, and I set it on the banister of our back deck, and I recorded it. I recorded the test and just waiting for it to say pregnant or not pregnant. It came up pregnant, and I was shocked. Despite the 2 weeks of nonstop nausea, I was shocked. I was like, no way. Obviously there's a way, but I was like, there's no way. There's no way I'm pregnant. But I remember I went back inside. I sat on our couch and I sobbed. I remember I wasn't crying because I was pregnant. I was crying because it was about to be another season of life, another milestone that my mom and my dad would not be here for. The day Ellie was born was a beautiful, perfect day, and just proof of God's faithfulness, of his love, of his caring nature. And God did things that day that, I say this, God didn't have to do all the things that he did for me, but I know he did it because he loves me. So like I said earlier, Ellie was a surprise, right? We didn't plan, like, we're going to get pregnant in this month, so they'll be born in this, like, none of that, okay? And so when I found out the due date for Ellie, she was due the day before my dad's birthday. And as you know, my dad passed away when I was 18, if you go back and watch that testimony video. And I just remember thinking, I've always heard with your first baby, like, they'll go a little longer. How crazy would it be if she was born on my dad's birthday? So we're getting things ready. We arrived the night of the 28th, and we are ready to have a baby. And they started me on all the process, and they were like, hey, would you like a sleeping pill? And I was like, no, I'll be fine. I did take the pill. If you go to be induced and they offer you something to help you sleep the night before, take it. Because I was awake the whole time. I was so nervous. I just could not sleep. But one thing that I remember specifically from that night is my husband went to go, my brother was in town for Ellie, and so my husband went to go grab them some dinner, and my brother stayed back with me for a little while, just sitting in the hospital room. And my brother said, how are you doing? And I just lost it. I just started crying, and I looked at him and I said, I really wish Mom was here. No sooner than those words came out of my mouth, there was a knock on the door. And I was like, come in, and a nurse came in. I had not seen her in my whole, like, getting into the hospital bed, hooking me up to the IV, none of that. I'd never seen this lady before. She was older, and she came in and she was like, I'm here to draw some blood. Mind you, they had already drawn blood, but I didn't know. Maybe it's drawn multiple times. I had no idea. And I was like, okay. So she sits down beside me. I pulled out my arm, ready to be poked again. And I looked down at her name tag, and her name was Alice. And that was my mom's name. And I looked at the name tag. She took my blood. She left the room. I looked at my brother, and he said, did you see her name tag? And I said, yeah, her name was Alice. And I just remember, I was like, God, thank you so much for that hug in that moment when I was really missing her and really wanting her to be there. This sweet old lady came and stabbed me for some blood, but her name was Alice. And you can't plan those things. You can't make that up. And never saw her again. I hope she's doing well wherever she is. But I just remember being so grateful for that. So we get through the night, we go to the next morning, and they're starting me on Pitocin, trying to get things rolling, getting ready to have this beautiful baby girl. And they're noticing that Ellie's heart rate is just not cooperating. It is not fluctuating the way it's supposed to be. And so my doctor came in, it was probably around lunchtime, and she said, hey girl, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. We've seen this lots of times, and usually this ends in an emergency C-section, but we want to give you the option to elect to have one now. And she's like, you and your husband can talk about it, think about it. I'll come back in about an hour and you let me know. And I was like, okay. She left. I bawled. I cried my eyes out. I was so upset. I did not want to have a C-section. I was just scared. I didn't know like what it would be like. It's not what I had prepared for. We called our best friends. We FaceTimed them. They prayed with us and just spoke some encouragement over us. And I laid down in the bed. I had to be on oxygen just to help keep Ellie doing well. And I remember I laid in that bed and I said to the Lord, I said, God, this is not what I wanted, but I will do whatever I need to do to get this baby out safely. And the Lord, it was just like 4 o'clock, just like dropped in my heart. Like I just heard it in my heart. I don't know how else to explain it. And I felt instant peace pour over me. And I knew that I needed to have the C-section. So I talked to my husband. We agreed. The doctor came back in and she said, have you made your decision? And I said, yes, we would like to go ahead and just plan for the C-section. And she said, okay, a nurse will be back to get you at 4 o'clock. And that's when I knew in my heart that I had heard the Lord and that this was the right move. Our beautiful baby girl was born at 5:13 on the 29th on my dad's birthday. And our whole world changed. As you know, if you have become a mom anyway, your world changes when you see that face for the very first time. And Ellie is so full of joy. We picked the name Ellie because it means God is my light. And our prayer and hope is that for her whole life, she will know that God is the light of her life and that people would see that in her also. And it's a reminder to us of all that God has done for us. With Ellie. Ellie came at a season of our life where we needed a little light, where we needed hope and encouragement and something to live for. And it was just perfect, absolutely perfect. So fast forward a couple years later and we decide to try for another baby. We actually planned this one, guys, okay? No surprises here. So we found out we were pregnant. We're so excited. We're like, yes, pregnant, yeah. That's what I did when I saw the positive pregnancy test. I'm just kidding. But so I found out we were pregnant, and it came time for the gender reveal, and we were like, yes, it's a boy. Obviously, because we want a boy, so it's gonna be a boy. And I felt different. My pregnancy my pregnancy symptoms were just different. And I was like, okay, this has to be a boy because they're way different than Ellie's symptoms, so obviously. And I remember it was the day of our gender reveal, and this whole time I was like, boy, boy, boy. And literally like 5 minutes before we find out, it just sunk in my heart, and I was like, what if it's not? What if, just maybe, it's another girl? But I was like, no. Once you know, that powder turned pink. And I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. And between you, me, and everybody else who watches this video, I was disappointed. I know that gender disappointment is frowned upon, and people have a lot of opinions about how people should feel and that they should be thankful. I wasn't ungrateful. I was disappointed. There's a difference. And I remember feeling so guilty. Like I sobbed. I will blame half of that on pregnancy hormones. But to give you some context, we were in a season of our lives where it was no after no after no after closed door after closed door after closed door. And I just wanted one thing that I had prayed for to happen. And it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. I was throwing a fit. I didn't get what I wanted, right? If you've never thrown a fit about not getting what you wanted, props to you. Teach me your ways, because that's incredible. But yeah, I was disappointed. I remember laying in bed and I told the Lord, I was like, I'm so thankful for this baby. I'm just, another girl is not what I wanted, or da 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 da. And I just felt the Lord whisper again to my heart. And I just felt in my spirit, somebody needs this little girl. And that was all the peace that I needed. And I went to bed and have been excited about having a girl ever since. Nora, our sweet Nora, when we found out we were pregnant with her, her due date was Valentine's Day. And I remember going back and forth like, oh my gosh, do we want her to be born on Valentine's Day? Will she like that as she gets older? Will she love sharing Valentine's Day? Oh, I don't know. And it got closer to her being born. It was time for her to be born. And my doctor was like, would you like to do another C-section since you had had one with Ellie? But I really wanted a VBAC. I wanted to try. So my doctor and I had made this plan that we would schedule a C-section, and if I went into labor naturally on my own, we would try for a VBAC, prepared for a C-section. Perfect scenario. Friday night, it was the 10th, and I told the Lord, I was like, God, she can come whenever you want her to come, but please, please, please do not have her come on February 11th. Please don't. And if you don't know, in my testimony video, I share about how my dad remarried very, very quickly after my mom died. And he got married on February 11th. And I was like, I am not letting her have that day with them. I was like, absolutely not. It was a terrible day. It was also my sister's anniversary with her husband. So there was just a lot of strife, okay? But wouldn't you know, at 3:30 in the morning on February 11th, my water would break and I would go into labor, and our sweet Nora girl would be born via a successful VBAC on February 11th. And at first I was upset, and then it reminded me that God is a redeemer. He redeemed that day. My sister, over the moon excited, just so thankful that God had redeemed that day for her. A day that was filled with emotions, anger, upset because of the situation my family was in and with my stepmom, to God redeeming it by giving us a beautiful baby girl named Nora. And Nora means shining light. We have a theme going on here, in case you can't tell. And Nora actually has my mom's middle name, Lee. So we named her Nora Lee after my mom. When I look at them, I see the faithfulness of God. And I love sharing their stories. I love sharing all the ways that God just threw in his hugs and just tied everything so beautifully and perfectly together in my two amazing girls. I couldn't have planned it myself. I couldn't have orchestrated every detail if I wanted to, the way it was meant to be. But I just want to encourage you today. Leave it better. Being a mom without a mom is hard. There are challenges that come with that. I mean, I cried many, many times because there are things I would just want to ask my mom. I just want to know, like, I see things that my girls do and I'm like, did I do that? Did I act that way? Sometimes it's hard because, you know, a lot of the people were around knew Scotty when he was little, and but not me. My husband Scott, by the way. And so like everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're just like Scotty, or Scotty did this, or a cousin did this, da 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 da. And it was never like, oh, they're like you, Amanda, you know. And like that was kind of hard. It's hard because you want to be like, oh, well, I was like that as a baby because I remember everything when I was a baby. But so that's hard because I wish my mom was here to be like, Amanda, you did that. So if you're watching this and you are a mama without a mama, I want to encourage you, let Jesus in. Let him into those dark, scary, sad places, the angry places, in the depths of your heart. Let God in and allow him to heal you. Deciding to be healed it's a choice. You have to make the decision to allow God to heal you. And my friend, hear me when I say this. It is a lot easier to stay stuck than to make the decision to heal. Now, why would I say that? Because when you make the choice to heal, you confront your grief, you confront the pain, and you have to feel those feelings. And those feelings can be scary, and it can feel like a lot to carry. But God is gracious, He is kind, and He loves you. And then if He was there for me, He's going to be there for you, and He is there for you. He is not a respecter of persons. Doesn't have favorites. God loves us all equally. That's hard for our minds to comprehend, I'm sure. But if you're a mom, I think you can understand a little bit of how God loves us all the same, and He desires good for all of us. But sometimes to reach the good that God has for us, we have to go through the pain, we have to go through the healing, because if you stay stagnant, if you stay stuck in your grief, you will die. You will die. I had an encounter with the Lord back in October, which is what led us to this video and to this YouTube channel, and I had to confront my grief because I was realizing that it was hurting my children and it was hurting my marriage. It was just hurting everybody around me. And I had to let go of a final piece of grief that I had still been holding on to. And when I tell you that when I released it to the Lord, I felt like 100 pounds lighter as a person, as a human. This is so funny. They talk about like when you're in love and the air smells cleaner and the colors are brighter, but that's genuinely how I felt after that moment. And I have not stopped since. And I want that for you. And I don't want you to be discouraged. If it doesn't take 2 weeks for you to feel better, that is okay. There's no time limit on grief. As long as you continue to move, that's all that you need to do. I'm not expecting your grief to be resolved in 24 hours, right? God can do anything, okay? God is a miracle worker. He can do things just like that. But I do find in my life personally, God really loves a process. He loves to take us through a process because the process always refines us so we're ready for the promise that God is bringing to us. The process is so important. And there will be days where you want to give up, and there will be days where you don't want to do this anymore, but you have to. You have to keep going. You are loved. You are full of purpose. Keep going. I shared the story of my girls because I want to encourage you. God was so kind to me during that. And there were so many God hugs in those moments and just so many things I'm thankful for of how He orchestrated everything so perfectly. And He wants to have those moments for you too. Lean on Him. Trust Him. He loves you more than anyone in this world possibly ever could. And He has beautiful and wonderful things planned for you. So as I say on my channel all the time, we're leaving it better, okay? We are going to leave our grief. We're going to process through our grief, and we are going to become better. Please, as someone who is 15 years into this grief, this process, this healing, do it. Do it, do it, do it. It is worth it. If I could look back at myself 7 years ago where I am in the thick of it, and if I could see where I'm at now, I would have been like, I have to keep going. I have to keep going. I faced discouragement. I wanted to give up many, many times. Some days I still do, but keep going. No one is ever going to replace your mom, and nobody should replace your mom. But there are women around you, and if there's not, you need to ask God for them, because He loves you enough to bring those people to you that can help you. They're not taking the place of your mom, but each woman can offer you something that your mom had, or likeness of your mother, some wisdom that you would want from your mom on different subjects. It doesn't have to all come from the same woman. It could, but it doesn't have to. Allow God to let those people into your life. It's going to be hard, and it can be painful, and it's something I still struggle with, but it's a desire that I also have. So just to be real, that's something I fight against, my desire and my want to have that, versus I really don't want you to be anything to me that my mom was, but you need it. You are not meant to do life alone. You are not meant to do motherhood alone. You need people, godly people that love the Lord and that can put their arms around you, that they can lift your hands when you need it, give you the advice, look at your child and say, my gosh, she's just like you. You need those women. So I am encouraging you, I am imploring you today, do it. Heal. Don't stay stuck. Leave it better.